Hi, welcome to AllBrands After Hours with me, your host, Courtney Dowdett. Welcome to the show where we hang out and craft together.
Today we are doing something different. We are doing Battle of the Brands. We'll be putting the brother Luminaire up against the brother Aveneer and all of those up against the Bernina B990. Now, Courtney, why only those three machines? Because those are the machines I either have or I'm about to get. Now, the way that this is going to work is we're going to be putting those three machines up against each other, and we're going to show what the machines have compared to what the other ones don't. If the other one does not have an item, I will be putting NA right there because it doesn't have that feature. Now, let's start with throat space, which is our work area right there by the needle. So, the Luminaire has a 13.1, the Aveneer has a 14.1, and the B990 has a 14 as well. So, the bigger one out of those three would be the Aveneer at 14.1, but you know what? The B990 not too far off by just a 0.1. Moving right along to hoops. So these are the largest hoops that each of these machines can do. The Luminaire at a 10.625 by 16, the Aveneer at 11.625 by 18 and a quarter, and then the B990 at 12 inches by 16.1. So if we're looking at this, the width of that hoop, the B990 has it as an actual 12 inch. So you can actually do a 12 by 12 block. So if you have a quilt block in there, you can actually do a 12 by 12 block. Where the other ones, even the Aveneer, is 11.625. So you can't actually do that 12 by 12 block. However, with the Aveneer, you get that 18 and a quarter inch hoop, which is, well, the length is the largest length of any of the hoops. So technically, the largest hoop is the Aveneer, but man, having that 12 inch width, very nice. So if you could make a 18 and a quarter inch hoop by 12 inch width, we'd be in business. Now, that doesn't mean we completely ignore the Luminaire because she has an 16 inch hoop and that B990 is a 16.1. So if that width is not a huge difference for you and you like the 16th, then the Luminaire is going to do you just fine. Now, let's talk about built-in cameras. They all have them. So all of the Luminaire, Aveneer, and B90 all have built-in cameras. Let's move on to voice guidance. Voice guidance is the new feature that the brother Aveneer just came out with. Voice guidance can be done in multiple different languages, and you can select if you prefer a male or a female. She will guide you, or he will guide you through when it's time to change thread colors, what the thread color is. If you're in a different room, it'll let you know from afar and say, hey, it's time to change out different colors. Now, I know it does more than that. However, that is what Brother's really been pushing lately, that you can tell, it'll tell you what the different colors are. So whenever the machine fully comes out, of course, I am going to play with that a lot more. The next feature we are going to go in depth on is projector. Now, if you notice, the B990 has an NA next to it because it does not have a built-in projector where the Luminaire and Aveneer do. Now, the projector for the Luminaire was a 5 inch by 3 inch, where on the Aveneer they have upped it to an 8 inch by 5 inch. So that is pretty wild. If you think about it, if you have a 5 by 7 hoop, you could project the whole image into that 5 by 7 hoop and then even have a little extra over. So I love my projector for placement and also to be able to do edge-to-edge quilting and, meet up objects, to audition objects. So I love having a projector. Now, let's talk about the difference between the projectors of the Luminaire and the Aveneer. On the Luminaire, we had an option to project a line, an angle, a grid, or dual. And we could change the color of the projection that we were projecting to 3 colors. Now, this does not mean the projection of the image that you wanted to embroider. This was just mostly used for sewing, so 3 different color options. Now, if you notice with the Aveneer, we could do all the things we could in the Luminaire, but now we could do a circle, a square. We have multiple angles, so 8 different angles, and now we can do up to 16 colors. So depending on what color your fabric is, it's nice to be able to change colors, so then that way you know that you can see that projection very well on there. Moving right along, let's talk about laser point. So pinpoint laser, all 3 of them have a pinpoint laser, which is fantastic to be able to see exactly where your needle is going to touch down. So if you're wanting to make sure that you're starting in a certain area, it's really nice to have that pinpoint laser. Now, the next one we're going to talk about, and this is going to be a little lengthy, is stitch regulator. Now, if you notice, the Luminaire does not have a stitch regulator. There's no onboard stitch regulation. There's nothing that you can add to it to make it have a stitch regulator. Now, if we look at the Aveneer, we do have a stitch regulator, but if you notice, the B990 says integrated stitch regulator. The Aveneer's is not integrated. It is an actual little item that you have to plug into the machine to make it run and work with your machine. Now, it's kind of like the Move It foot. If you're familiar with the Brother Move It foot, you plugged it into the back and it just went. So I don't find it very cumbersome. There's nothing additionally I need to do to make it work, is just plug it in. Now, the B990, that one also has where you plug it in, and additionally it has an integrated one as well. So two different options with that. And we're used to stitch regulators that we had to plug in with Bernina. They've been doing that for a long time, but now they've actually integrated. So yes, they both have stitch regulators, but the B990s, it's integrated. It's so easy. You just get up and go. Now, saying that, the stitch regulator on the Aveneer does not have a ruler foot, and that bothers me. There are 3 different feet that come with it: the open toe, closed toe, and then the echoing foot, which the B990 also has, but you can use ruler feet with the B990. So in my head, that is way better. I love being able to have a ruler foot, and I'm really hoping Brother will come out with one for the Aveneer, because that is something we desperately need. Now let's talk about free arm embroidery. The Luminaire and the Aveneer do not have free arm embroidery. So whenever you're embroidering on your B990, there is actually a gap underneath that allows you to slip an item. So say you're doing a stocking or you're doing your child's book bag, you can actually put it underneath that free arm, so it makes it a lot easier to hoop. Now, you have to buy that hoop separately that does that free arm embroidery. It does not come with the machine, and that is kind of, I wish they would have included it, because it is a really, really cool feature, and it makes doing smaller items so much easier. Now, I know on a Brother, a lot of us have Brother multi-needle machines, and we could do it on those, and those are quick and easy. But if you didn't, it's just really nice to have that free arm. So I'm going to have to give it to the B990 on this one. The free arm embroidery is fantastic. Now let's jump to Wi-Fi. Now, all 3 machines are Wi-Fi capable. Courtney, why is that a big deal? Because a lot of people who've had Berninas before, they did not have Wi-Fi capability. But the B990, it does. We're used to Brother machines having Wi-Fi, but we're not used to Berninas. So that is fantastic. This one does have Wi-Fi available. One of my favorite things that a Brother has is Artspira. I absolutely love Artspira. Artspira is Brother's free app. There is a subscription as well, but there is a free app where you get designs not only for wireless Brother embroidery machines, but you also print Moda, scan and cut, sublimation printers. It's a hub of awesomeness. Now, caveat with Artspira: yes, Luminaire and yes, Aveneer have it. B990 does not, because it is not a Brother item, but the Aveneer actually has exclusive projects and exclusive items in Artspira that no other machine can get. So not even any other Brother wireless embroidery machines, only for the Aveneer. The next item that is exclusive to only Brother machines, so I'm sorry B990, you are not in this one, is My Design Center. My Design Center is probably one of my favorite things to use on certain Brother machines. Now, My Design Center is available on the Luminaire and on the Aveneer. However, it did get a facelift in the Aveneer. So there are more decorative fill designs. There were 48 in the Luminaire. Now there's 54 in the Aveneer. And now when you're editing, you could actually do 18 options of random shifts. Now, if you know anything about me, you know I'm a huge scan and cut user. I love the scan and cut, and I love My Connection. My Connection is how a Brother wireless embroidery machine talks to the scan and cut. Now, the scan and cut will let any wireless Brother embroidery machine talk to her. So send a PES design on over so she can turn it into a cut file to cut out your appliques. However, she only talks back to certain Brother embroidery machines. So in this case, she will talk to the Stellaire, the Luminaire, and the Aveneer. Courtney, what do you mean she talks back? Well, not only will she send over that design to make it into a cut file, you can actually create stitches out of any of the cut files you send over from the scan and cut on those 3 machines. So anything can be turned into an applique, or you could actually stitch out the whole design right there on board in the machine. No external software needed. Now this is where I start throwing a lot of numbers at you. There are 877 stitch designs, so actual stitch designs in the Luminaire and Aveneer, so there was none added. There are 2,927 in the B990. Now, embroidery designs is where Luminaire and Aveneer shine. For the Luminaire, there are 2,024. For the Aveneer, there are 2,246. And for the B990, there's 879. Now, stitches per minute is 1,050 for the Luminaire and the Aveneer. However, the B990 can do 1,200. So pretty awesome. Now this is where I'm going to have to put a hypothetical little asterisk at the next one. There are 10 built-in edge-to-edge designs in the Luminaire, and there are 15 in the Aveneer, so they did add 5. Now you notice 263 in the B990 is not accurate. They do not pull out those edge-to-edge designs separately. So yes, it's 263 options that you could possibly make into it, but I don't believe that is the true number, and I could not find the true number. So if you know it, please list it down below. Let's talk about features you can't really compare to the other machines because that machine is the only one that has it. The first one I want to talk about is picture play. Picture play is when you take your own picture and bring it into the machine and actually have it turn it into stitches. In my opinion, it kind of looks like tapestry. And the way that Brother's able to do this is they use AI technology, which is amazing and really cool that they actually have tapped into that. So I'm very, very excited with that. So picture play, very, very cool. Next, the B990 is the only one that has a proper 2.4-point placement. So say you have an item that is a square, but it's not a true square, it's a little lopsided and you want to fill it with stitches, or you want to make sure your design is centered in it. You can actually select the little nodes on the edges of the design and then morph them. So change them and configure them to actually fit whatever shape it is that you want them to fit into. So 2-point and 4-point positioning is one of my favorite features. Speaking of cool features, being able to have unlimited resizing on my B990 is really great. So I can resize it as small as I absolutely possibly want to and as large as my hoop will allow me, and it will automatically recalculate my stitches. So very, very cool. The Aveneer and Luminaire have something similar, and the Aveneer did change how it resizes from the Luminaire, and I much prefer it on the Aveneer than the Luminaire because it does it in a percentage. All right, let's move on to the B990's Jumbo Stitch. Jumbo Stitch is a new feature on the B990 that lets you take any design and actually morph it and have it be changed into the width. And it does stitch sideways, and that's how it kind of works. So say you wanted to embroider on some sashing and you wanted to make sure that it actually filled up that whole sashing, so you could fill the width of the sashing and then have it repeat multiple times to be able to embroider that same design all the way down this large sashing. All right, let's talk about buttonhole preview, which is only available on the Aveneer. Buttonhole preview is whenever the buttonhole attachment, which comes with the Aveneer, is attached onto the Aveneer, and you can actually put a little bitty button in there, resize the button, and it will automatically change whatever size that you need to actually stitch out the buttonhole. So very, very cool, and it shows you projected onto the garment so you can do your placement perfectly. Now, those are only some of the features of the 3 machines, and I'm not personally going to pick a winner because I love them all. And honestly, I don't know what you particularly need, what your projects you're working on, so it's really up to you which machine works best for you. If you guys want me to demo some of the certain features of the machines, please let me know because it's a lot of features and it would be really hard to do it all in one video. But I wanted to give a quick overlay of the machines because I know a lot of people are deciding between the 3 of them, and I wanted to try to help just a little bit. So please let me know if there's a certain feature that you would love for me to show, put head to head with the other machine. I'd be happy to do that. And if I forgot one of your favorite features, please put it down below, and I'd be happy to include that on the next video. Don't forget that AllBrands is a Bernina and Brother dealer, so we do them both. And if you're local to any one of our locations, we'd love to be your authorized dealer. So come on in, come test drive, come meet us, come hang out with us, and we'd love to have you part of this community. Y'all have a great night. Bye, guys.